Hola amigos, bien ok, saludos otra vez desde Medellín. Hoy nuestro tema es con arrepentimientos o en inglés regret. Específicamente cómo nosotros construir estas oraciones en inglés porque hay muy diferente el sonido que usted va a escuchar en contrario que como nosotros escribir. Entonces, in inglés, what we're going to talk about today is would've, could've, should've. Would've, could've, should've. If only. So it's all about regrets. Oh, if only I'd known, I would've, I could've, I should've. But you will notice as we go through this, there's a big difference between what you hear us say and how we should write it. Very big difference. In fact, it's such a big difference that probably 80% of the native speakers you hear are actually making a mistake that they're not conscious of because they only speak it and they're not writing it. When they write it down, they do it correctly because it's different, but they don't notice how they sound. So we're going to show you this so you can understand what you're hearing and what we mean, because we're using contractions, which is where it gets difficult. And we're going to show you again what we're really saying. Okay? So this is something you're probably hearing quite a bit. Would've, could've, should've. Now for each of these, you notice we've got an apostrophe VE at the end. Really, that's the word have. So what we should say is would have, could have, should have. But then that makes it two words, and we're a bit lazy to say those, so we make a contraction. Should've, could've, would've. So what we're really saying is would have, could have, should have. Then we have the contraction. Would've, could've, should've. Yeah? So I've got 4, let's say, example sentences of this. We'll do them one at a time. I'll read you what you will hear us say, and then I'll show you what we're actually saying. Okay? So let's look at the first one. If I'd have known, I could have practiced more. If I'd have known, I could have practiced more. Well, what's this? Okay, well, if I'd is I had. If I had of have, if I had have known, I could have practiced more. So what we're really saying is if I had have known, I could have practiced more. But notice I've marked up have here. This isn't really what we should say. It's what we're saying is that of, I'd have, v, I'd have is really have for the sound. But actually, if you're going to write this down, what you should put is if I had known, I could have practiced more. You don't need the have. It's redundant. But for some very old-fashioned reason, we still say it in the sense of saying that v, I'd have. So you're still going to hear the v, and you'll think, what's that for? It's really just to help the sound. Probably in some long distant time, this structure probably made more sense. If I had have known, yeah. But nobody really says that. So when you write it down, you won't see that written. What you're going to see is if I had known, I could have practiced more. So if you see that written in a book or in a newspaper, that's how they're going to write it. If I had known, I could have practiced more. But what you will hear is if I'd have known, I could have practiced more. If I'd have known, I could have practiced more. Get the idea? Okay, let's try the second one. If I'd have known, I should have told you sooner. If I'd have known, I should have told you sooner. If I'd have known, I should have told you sooner. And again, here we go. If I have known, I should have told you sooner. But obviously we know we don't really need the have, so it should be, if I had known, I should have told you sooner. If I'd have known, I should have told you sooner. Yeah, nearly the same. Okay, let's try this third one. If I'd have known you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. Now, my mum would tell you this was a song title from the 1950s, and it's very famous too. You can look it up. But notice here we have what looks like two phrases the same. I'd have. But they're not. If I'd have known, if I have known you were coming, I'd have. This second I'd have actually isn't I have. No. This is I would have baked a cake. Would have. Which we've contracted even further to make it easier to say. Would have becomes I'd have. I know. So what we've got here is, if I had known you were coming, I would have baked a cake. But what you hear us say is, if I'd have known you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. And in this case, this second I'd have is actually I would have. I'd have. We could say that's maybe a contraction gone too far, but that's really what we're trying to say. I would have baked a cake. Yeah. Let's look at the last one. If I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have said that. If I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have said that. If I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have said that. If I have known that then, I would not have said that. If I had known that then, I would not have said that. Yeah? So if you see that written down, it looks okay, yeah? If I had known that then, I would not have said that. But what you will hear us say, if I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have said that. Wouldn't have. Very common phrase. Wouldn't have. Would not have. Wouldn't have. If I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have said that. I would not have said that. There we go. Something to think about. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time. Cheerio for now.